So we are a service center, and this past 6 months has really taught me how much we do here in the office.
People always ask, well, how do you operate? How do you make all that happen? Well, we operate like missionaries do, by faith. And so we do not charge for any of these services.
It's hard to really express, unless maybe you were a missionary, just our appreciation for everything that the mission office does. Now I get to be on this side of things, but what a blessing that the office is to our missionary force.
Welcome to the 938. We're so glad that you've joined us today. We're going to talk about the BBFI Mission Office and all the services that we provide for our missionaries and our churches. In fact, we consider ourselves a service center because not only do we process their support, but we do many things for them. And we have a staff of 18 that do all these things for our missionaries and our churches. And today I'd like to introduce to you one of our newest staff members, and that is Mike Hillhouse. We're glad to have you on our team, and today I'd like to introduce you to people if they haven't met you yet. And so tell us a little bit about your testimony and where you served as missionaries.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast. And let me just start by saying I'm thrilled to be at the mission office. So let me share a little bit about my testimony. I grew up about 45 minutes away from here in a small town, one of those small towns you blink and you miss it, a town of about 600 people. And I had the privilege of growing up in a Christian home. I hit the jackpot with my parents. They love the Lord. They love missions. So I kind of grew up in that atmosphere, was saved at an early age, just before my 6th birthday, and loved missions. Growing up, I started giving to Faith Promise as a teenager, loved missions, but never wanted to go to the mission field. You probably have heard testimonies like that. Wanted to support, wanted to help, and went off to welding school, of all places. Then God started dealing with my heart about missions. And so I transferred from welding school, went to Baptist Bible College, where I met my wife. One of the first classes, this pretty blonde-headed girl comes walking in, and I noticed her. We became friends, and over time we began to date. She also felt called to missions, and so we ended up getting married my junior year, her senior year, and God led us to Burkina Faso, West Africa. Not as pretty as Kenya, I'll give you that,
right?
But the people are incredible.
Sure.
That's what makes Burkina amazing, is just the not necessarily the environment, but the people are absolutely incredible. And so we were there in Burkina from 2004 when we were approved to our resignation in 2020, and just God bless the ministry there.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things I really like about your testimony. And first is you were called to missions, and then God brought a young lady into your life that also felt burdened about missions.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've found that someone who wants to be a missionary, they end up marrying somebody who didn't want to be, and they never made it to the mission field.
Yeah.
And so this is a good example of how it can really work well, which was the same for my life as well, and my wife and I serving. The other thing is I got to visit you in Burkina Faso.
You did.
That was a really neat experience. It was my first time to be there. Actually, it was my only time to be there. Mm-hmm. But you were there as new missionaries learning the language.
Yeah. We were as green could be, and we were excited that you were there, but we were learning the language, learning culture, and so you got to experience it firsthand. Now, if you ever go back, those of you that might not know, he does like to swing the golf club, and we have a pretty unique golf course in Burkina because you have to have spotters because it's totally, red clay. The sands are just black, sandy looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty neat, but we would show you a few more experiences if you ever got to go back again.
Right. So, well, one thing I do remember is the missionaries had missionary kids, of course, and they had a bowling alley in Burkina Faso, which I was surprised. And so I took all the missionary kids bowling at the bowling alley. I don't know if there was 2, 3, 4 lanes or something like that.
I don't even remember. It was not very many, but we had a good time.
So that was neat. Now, what language did you have to learn to speak there to minister in Burkina Faso?
So Burkina was a former French colony, and we learned French. That's the official language. Now, not everybody speaks French, especially the older people. That's more the tribal language. But we learned French and would preach and teach in French, and then learned also a little bit of a tribal language that was dominant in the central part, which is called Moray. So our first words that we learned, because everybody came and would ask us, is "Mamdata ligidi," which I always thought was a cool phrase. I'm like, what does that mean? And it was usually little kids, hey, I want money. That's what that was the first phrase I heard,
That's funny.
But, yeah.
And what is the name of the capital city? I've always found that to be a neat name.
Yeah, and that's where we were located, Ouagadougou.
Ouagadougou.
Yeah,
And so I think I heard some people just saying Ouaga, just for short.
That's exactly right.
Ouagadougou. That really sounds like a good African name for a city. Yeah,
it does.
Good. So you're now back in the States and you're working at the mission office. And I've heard you say, just like I felt when I came and worked in the mission office, and others have that were former missionaries, that we do a lot more than we really knew as a missionary, that the mission office does. And so share that with me a little bit.
So we are a service center, and this past 6 months has really taught me how much we do here in the office. Yeah. And you're exactly right. I was ignorant of some of the things that we do for our missionaries. I think part of it is a missionary takes advantage of the things that pertain directly to him, and some things you're just ignorant on. But I actually kind of put a list together, and I want to just kind of look at some of the things that we do. The first thing you think of, obviously, is processing funds, right? So we're processing funds. We're sending reports. We're allowing them to have access to web tools that can print reports. That just keeps them connected to their supporters, lets them know what gift came in. They might be looking for a gift for, they might be building a building, and somebody called and said, hey, I'll send you $1,000. They can get online that day and find out if that came in. So there's a lot of tools that are there. We send out letters as missionaries. So there's mail merge tools that we provide for our missionaries, different reports of all kinds that a missionary can print just to make his organization better. One of the things that we don't talk about a lot is the medical plan.
Yeah, let me first go back to something that I think is neat to mention on the processing, because we process about $35 million a year.
Wow.
Which is about $3 million a month. And so all that comes through our office from our churches. And then we get it to the missionaries. And so that's pretty impressive, really, when you think about it.
It is. And I've heard you say in the past that we actually have less staff now than they had years ago. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. In the 70s, we processed half of the money for a third of the missionaries, and we actually had more staff than we do today. Wow. So technology helps us with that.
It does.
And so we also can put it in their bank accounts. We send the money by a direct wire from bank to bank around the world. Yeah. It's really neat the way we are able to get the money to our missionaries.
Yeah, and that's some things I had even noted, is just the fact that we can transfer money. I mean, there were times that we might be doing a building project and we needed an early deposit to go and get cement or buy rebar or whatever it might be. And it's so easy just to call the mission office and say, hey, Jackie, or at that time it might be Jackie or Joyce that was answering the phone. I'd say, is there a possibility to get this money? And man, they were just on it. The mission office is really, really good. Going back to the medical insurance. So the last 5 years I've been in the States. So missions pastor, and then also working with my family business, kind of a bivocational thing. But my eyes were opened to how good we really had it with our medical plan. Yeah. Medical insurance is expensive, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Our plan, and I've wrote some numbers down, max pay is $1,180 for a family of four. And what that includes is if you're on the field and you have some sort of a medical expense, if you're on the field, not in the States, but on the field, 100% of that is taken care of, which is incredible. There is a evac that's a part of that, and we've had to use that before. I heard the story of a missionary family in Vanuatu. When the earthquake hit, the wife had to be evacuated to New Zealand, and the medical insurance just kicked in.
Yeah, the repatriation or medevac is part of what they pay every month, or is deducted from their support every month, the $11.80 for a family, as you said. And that includes that. So whenever that family was repatriated from Vanuatu or medevaced to New Zealand, it didn't cost them anything.
It's crazy.
It's just from the medical plan.
Yeah. And then you mentioned the word repatriation, because one of the things that I didn't know, but I think is really an interesting and a cool benefit, is repatriation. So if someone were to pass away on the field and the family wanted to have the remains in the States for a burial, that's also included in that medical plan.
Yeah,
so,
and the family does not get charged for anything. It's all covered.
Yeah.
And so the medical plan really is good. It is something that we have a self-funded medical plan for our missionaries. And because they can get things done overseas, it can be a little bit less than what most people in the States would pay. The deductible is much less. So it's just really a good plan and covers them worldwide.
Yeah. It's since I've been back, I've just realized really how good it is. And move forward a little bit. One of the things that you maybe don't think of a lot, but on the mission field, at least in my experience, I'd have letters, verification letters that I'm really who I say I am, or that I have the funding. And going back to that idea of service centers, one of the things that we have is just kind of a notary. We have a couple notaries there. We've got our legal finance area that can provide those letters that we might need in that area. I know we work with foreign banks. We work with foreign governments just to try to meet requirements for our missionaries, power of attorney, and then there's the whole aspect of missionary care. Yeah, and that's kind of where my heart is.
Sure.
And what I'm doing a lot of here in the office. And so missionary care, as you know, helps in 5 areas. So we talk about crisis on the field. That could be deaths, counseling, a burglary, whatever that might be. It helps with security training. It helps with missionary kids, with regional retreats, and then also assisting sending churches. So going back to things that I've learned since I've been in the office, we had a burglary in Burkina. I don't think I ever shared that with you.
No.
So we had there was a gang in our area, and they ended up breaking in. We had the security bars, but they bent them enough where they could get a teenager in. Woke us up in the middle of the night. I started yelling. My wife actually is the one that woke up, and I think he was as scared as I was, and so he took off, but not before getting several items out of the house. And one of the things that I learned is that with missionary care, we can step in and we can help missionaries in that crisis period and even replace some of those things. And I had shared with you earlier that my kids lost those little Nintendo DSs. Not a big deal to me, but it was devastating to my kids.
Sure.
This was they brought it from the States, and so that was one of the things that I'm learning that we can do as a service center through missionary care and through different things. We just have the opportunity to do a lot. Loans for our missionaries.
Well, and a lot of that for the missionary care that we can help is through the missionary care offering.
Yeah.
Because churches give separately and above their support for the missionary care offering or the golf tournament. We raise money for it. And that enables us to help in emergencies, trainings, all kinds of things. Come alongside a sending church that may not be able to help. We can help because of the missionary care offering.
Yeah. And these are just services that we're able to offer as a service center that not everybody has,
That's right.
as a clearinghouse, for example.
Sure.
So we really do a lot for our missionaries. Mail services, we help with creative access nations, and there's a lot of things that kind of go under the radar with that. And of course, we've got a great MK program, don't we? One of the things that we also have, and this is just the last thing I'll mention, and then but we have a lot of graphics and designs to help our missionaries. We have a great graphic team here, a great IT team, which also helps with a lot of that stuff, and they can turn around and give our missionaries resources. That is a huge blessing to them. But we're just not a service center for missionaries. We also help churches, right?
That's right. We do a lot for the churches who send the missionaries.
Yeah.
One of the questions or statements that we get is, you're a sending agency. We really are not a sending agency. The church is the sending agency. And as we know, the Great Commission was given to the church. So they're the ones who send the missionaries. But we just help and come alongside that sending church and supporting churches to help their missionaries. Because a lot of these things you just talked about and services that are needed and that our missionaries really must have, churches can't do them.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that's where we come alongside and help. So going back to what we would do for the churches, it's the same as the missionaries. We process the support they give to the missionaries. And so we process all that for them in compliance with the IRS and those things that are required. There's many laws that we have to follow and things that we do. We screen the applicants. And so whenever the churches send the missionaries and say, hey, we would like for you to be serving them and helping them and providing all these services, then we have a screening process. We check their testimonies for salvation, their call to be a missionary. We look at their doctrine, what they believe. We talk with the sending pastor. In fact, many times I call the sending pastor and talk to him. Yeah. We interview the missionaries, and then we take all of that we've gathered from them, and then we put them before pastors, who then do the final interviews. Sometimes we call it interrogation.
I remember. I went through it.
That's right. Those interviews, so that the pastors of the fellowship are the ones who say, yes, we put our stamp of approval on these families or individuals so that they can come and use the services of the BBFI Mission Office. And so we also provide many resources for our missionary churches, and they can go and get online, bbfimissions.com, and they can find under the resources tab all kinds of information, videos, a lot of different content they can use to promote missions in their churches. We have an online directory so that our churches can communicate one with another. If they're wanting to find what's the phone number for this certain church or this pastor or missionary, they can find that online through us. Also, we have different websites, but on our website, bbfimissions.com, the sending church can go and check all the financial history of their giving to churches and who they've given to through the years. Then you can go to the other resource, which would be the project938.world. So project938.world has a lot of video resources and other things that pertain to our program that we call Project 938, as far as praying for more missionaries and getting more missionaries on the field. And so there's all kinds of resources, faith promise resources if churches use faith promise giving. There's printed material, themed packages, design packs for mission conferences.
Wow.
Which is really amazing. If they would check those out, our media team led by Mike Escabel is putting these together so that they are editable, they're themed so that you have a full mission conference package to do your mission conference. And we have over 20 of them. And so this is something that's great. We have VBS for missionary kids. We even have a curriculum for kids on missions. And it's a 10-hour course that you could do in the summer or take off different times of the year. And your church lead it. It's got video from our missionary kids. They can watch videos, all kinds of great things for kids' curriculum. Then we have what's called the Bridge. And that's for our pastors or any church member, really. And you get up-to-date information Every month, more information, new things coming out. What's going on this mission field? What's happening with this missionary? What about this issue of missions? Or, for example, the decline of missionary numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about that, go onto the bridge and there's some information you can find out. So that's a great tool that can be used. And then we have just different pathways that we make available for our churches who are sending out their missionaries. They can be career church planning missionaries. Mm-hmm. They can do an internship on a mission field. Yeah. They can be a WIN missionary, which means taking their skills in whatever profession they might have and use those skills on the mission field, supporting our missionaries that are church planners, being right there with them. Some great things there. Then we have what's called Beyond Borders. And this Beyond Borders offers internships on the mission field for young people, young couples, if they want to do that. Or also trips. We've got some trips that are being planned for next year, 2027. Yeah. And I think as more information gets out to our churches, they'll want to send some of their people on these trips. So these are some of the things that we provide for our churches. And I'm just giving it out very quickly because there's so many more details of all of it that we do for our churches.
I know at our church, we tap into some of those resources, and probably, let me just tell you, the ones that we use probably the most are the videos. I think we'll do the promotional videos, and I like the way that they're cut, where they're, usually about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. We'll show it every month. Usually at the beginning of a service, we'll pick a month and just kind of highlight missions.
Yes.
And then we have used the design packs the last 3 years for our missions conference. And so that's been good. And I'm already talking to my Sunday school class. I teach a Sunday school class at church. I'm already talking to my Sunday school class about these missions trips that are coming up. And we're the older group. We're not the oldest group, but we're the older group. But I've got some retired people that are interested in taking trips. And I'm like, hey, hang on, because we got some cool stuff that's about to come down the pipe here at BBFI. And so it's exciting, all the things that we do for missions, for sure.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. So we've shared what all we do for missionaries. Yeah. We've shared briefly what all we provide for our churches. Yeah. And we do all of this with 18 staff members. Yeah. And so people always ask, well, how do you operate? How do you make all that happen? Well, we operate like missionaries do, by faith. Yeah. And so we do not charge for any of these services. And that's really unheard of.
It is.
Mostly other groups will charge the missionary or the churches. Yep. And so what we do is we ask for support, just like missionaries do. And we have churches that end up supporting us. So tell us a little bit of what you know about that on how we operate.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Let me first say, being here for 6 months, I am impressed with our staff. And we have people that are accountants or managers or specialize in finance. We have administrative systems, IT department, medical. So absolutely, with anything, it takes money to operate. Yep. And I would talk to my missionary friends, and they're like, how much money do they take out of your support for overhead? And it was hard for them to believe that, if a church gives $100 a month, that $100 of that comes to me. And so it's really cool the way that the Baptist Bible Fellowship is set up and the mission office has support. One of the things that I've heard over the years, and I think this is just maybe a good rule of thumb, and I guess you could say it would be a suggestion on our behalf, is we just suggest that people put $5 per month per missionary to help support the overhead costs of the office. So if you support 2 missionaries, whatever you support them at, just say, oh, you know what, I'm going to give $10, or if I support 100 missionaries, I'm going to give $5 per missionary, whatever that might be, just to help with our overhead costs. Now, at the same time, I do know that there have been people who have given one-time gifts to the mission office. We won't say no to that, will we?
Right.
So, no, so we appreciate what people do to sacrifice for the office and to help us out here. But really, we do act by faith, and God has taken care of the missions office over the years, and we just praise the Lord for it.
You're right. And, we are supported primarily by churches.
Yep.
And then there's also individuals that give. There are a few companies or corporations that support the mission office. And then there are some missionaries who voluntarily give. We don't push them or require it.
Yep.
They just do that out of thanks and appreciation. And so that's how we operate. And it's kind of a unique way when you consider all the other organizations that serve their missionaries. But so one pastor put it this way: there's nobody out there that gives all that the mission office gives for such a low cost.
Yeah.
And that is very true.
Yes.
And so when people do support the mission office, they are enabling and helping missionaries all around the world to do their work without having to wonder how this is going, or where's my money, or am I going to be able to make it? And, am I following the laws of the land with my taxes? And, who can counsel me in this area? Who can help me out with this area? They don't have to worry about those things. They know they have a group of people here in our office ready to help them in any way they can.
Absolutely.
And so when you support the mission office, you support our missionaries in very many different ways.
You absolutely do. It takes the stress, a lot of stress off the missionary. And
Yes.
this being on the field, I do as well, is it's hard to really express, unless maybe you were a missionary, just our appreciation for everything that the mission office does. Now I get to be on this side of things, but what a blessing that the office is to our missionary force.
Yeah, you're right. Well, thank you for joining us today for this podcast, the 938. And I hope you've learned a few things about the mission office, what we do for our missionaries, what we do for our churches. You've met Mike and you've heard his testimony and just his experience as a missionary and now in the mission office, especially working with our missionary care program. And he's doing a great job there. I hope that through this, you will be encouraged to know what all we do for the missionaries, but also you might consider supporting the mission office. If you already do, maybe you'll consider increasing that a little bit. As you know, the cost of living, the cost of expenses, everything has gone up these days. And so we could use a little bit more support. Or maybe you would say, I don't support the mission office at all, and I'd like to start doing that. That would be great as well. And so thank you so much for taking time to listen to us today. And I pray that God will bless you and give you a wonderful day.